I'm James D. Clayton, and this is part 2 of my story with the Hadzabe tribe. After hunting in the rain, we took shelter in the clan's cave around the fire for many hours. The road out of the bush was blocked by flooding, so we remained with the Hadzabe tribe for the rest of the day until the storm passed. It still blows my mind that there are people left in the world who live this way, in the same fashion they have for at least 40,000 years and probably a lot longer. I'll never forget the sweet, perfumey smell of their blunt joints filling the air, mixing with the earthy scent of the roasting fowl, freshly caught, the sound of the gently pouring rain tickling the rocks of the cave around us as we sat around the open flames and I watched and observed these unbelievably mesmerizing peoples who seemed completely undisturbed by my presence and allowed me to melt into the background of their everyday life.
Pumba. Yeah, so this is how you kill warthog in the African bush. Yeah, strong one.
They smoke a lot of marijuana, and the intoxicating fumes engulfing the cave, mixing with the musical clicks of their speech and the rhythmic summer rain, soon left me in a mellow stupor that I willingly gave into. My entire being relaxed, I sank into the presence of this rare and sacred moment alone with these indigenous peoples. You forget about yourself, ideas of tomorrow and future, of possessions and possessors. For fleeting moments, I glimpsed into a life where nothing really matters apart from true acceptance of the simple bliss of existence.
Now I am Bushman, eh?
Hadzabe
It wasn't long before my wet western clothes were replaced by a dried antelope skin and baboon hat. One of the huntsmen placed lines of ash on my face. Apparently such an act would stop the rainfall, they said, although usually it was smeared on an elder's face. Most of the time I was quite unsure of what was happening, of what was being said, of why the men wanted us to pose with the skulls and trophies of their past hunts. They must have been relics of great pride for the people. There were times when I couldn't really tell who was observing who. It was a relief for me to be of some kind of entertainment to the clan, which made the whole gig feel less like a glorified human zoo.
Amazing bird. Hornbill. Shot right through the heart.
After many hours, the rain eventually stopped and I was able to hit the road again before sunset, ignited by this extraordinary time. Before I left the men, they gave me various necklaces made by their family, small chains of dried berries and glass beads held together on plaited grass. Precious things. They invited me to return and come and sleep in the cave anytime I wanted, which of course I accepted. I asked them if I could bring them any gifts as a thank you. This is when things got really exciting. They expressed that they would like some old shorts for the men to wear beneath their skins, and also some basic African print cloth for the women to wear, to cover themselves up when they're dancing in front of clothed tourists. I was told we would have to smuggle the goods back in, as the Tanzanian government doesn't allow the tribe to have any modern things. So, off I went to the nearest city, gathering supplies. Several pairs of durable shorts of khaki colours and authentic-looking cloth for the ladies. I returned several days later by nightfall. I was really relieved to find the clan in their cave just as before, sitting around the fire in the pitch of night, wearing their baboon furs and skins, speaking their special and unique language. They greeted me like brothers, welcomed me back and took the gifts gratefully, expressing that no outsiders had brought them gifts in many years. It saddens me deeply that people don't treat tribes like the Hadza as real people, but as soulless spectacles only to be photographed and gawked at. Before long, however, we received word via my guides that somebody from the nearest village had reported to the police that a white man was seen travelling to the cave without the correct permits. Security was on their way to arrest us. The Hadza chief became quickly agitated and assured me the tribe would protect me by whatever means necessary if the police came to the cave. But wanting to avoid any kind of conflict, me and my two guides decided to dash into the bush, wheeling our moped into the thick undergrowth, engine off, in complete darkness. Anything could have been lurking there, not least deadly snakes, baboons, scorpions, or even wild cats or dogs. I could just make out the tall silhouettes of giant baobab trees as we silently marched through the thick jungle, praying not to cross the path of any predators. Voices and torchlight could be seen coming from the bush behind us. Somehow, and I don't know how, we managed to make it back to the nearest village before security could find us. I was wrapped head to toe in a giant Maasai shuka to avoid my pale skin being seen. We quickly dived into a local hotel, slept a couple of hours and left at first light. Luckily we escaped, and luckily the goods made it to the tribe intact. I really sincerely hope the police never found them. What a story, what a drama, and all for taking some clothes to a group of poor indigenous people who just wanted a little protection from the harsh monsoon weather. Still, to this day, I cannot believe this happened. It feels like a strange movie that I was the central character of, and it feels like a story that I have to tell. So now I ask you, dear viewer, what would you do in that situation? Should these endangered and critically important tribes be protected at all costs, even at the cost of their own free will, to preserve this way of life for future generations? Or has tribal tourism reached all new heights of exploitation? Are the Hadzabe tribe being held hostage to their own tradition and heritage by the Tanzanian government, unable to evolve and choose their own way forward in an ever-changing world? Is it a money-making scheme by the government, or a genuine conservation effort? When does the line between humane conservation get crossed and become a glorified zoo for truckloads of rich tourists to gawk at the last cavemen on the planet? It's a tricky subject, one I had questions and concerns about before travelling to Lake Eyasi to meet them, and one I've found myself contemplating deeply ever since. As always, I appreciate your responses. I don't have all the answers, I just seem to have all the crazy stories. Thank you for listening and for watching and connecting. This is Earth Pilgrim. Follow the journey.